The fact that we get to play and love what we do, and someone takes that and puts it in their own sense, and then they get their whole audience pumped up for their team to play.
They're one of the biggest rock bands in history. Over 125 million albums sold worldwide, tours that gross hundreds of millions. Yet when you dig into where Metallica's money actually went, the story gets complicated fast. We're talking about a band that made over $100 million in a single decade, but also lost fortunes in ways most fans never knew about. From the Napster war that cost them millions in legal fees and lost revenue, to Lars Ulrich's $13.4 million art collection that vanished overnight, to James Hetfield's personal struggles that drained the band's resources. Today, we're breaking down the financial empire of Metallica, where the money came from, and more importantly, where it all went. Some of these revelations might shock you. Let's get into it. First, let's establish just how much money we're talking about. Metallica isn't just a band, they're a business empire. Between 1991 and 2001, the decade following their Black Album release, Metallica generated an estimated $400 million in gross revenue. The Black Album alone sold over 17 million copies in the United States, making it the best-selling album of the SoundScan era. At roughly $15 per CD in the 90s, that's over $250 million just from one album. But here's where it gets interesting. Of that $250 million, the band saw maybe $25 to $30 million after the record label took their cut, manufacturing costs, distribution fees, and marketing expenses. The music industry has always been a machine designed to extract maximum value from artists while giving them a fraction of the pie. Their touring revenue told a different story. The Nowhere Else to Roam tour from 1991 to 1993 grossed over $28 million. Seems massive, right? But after production costs, crew salaries, equipment transport, venue fees, and management cuts, each band member walked away with approximately $2 to $3 million for 2 years of grinding work. By the late 90s, Metallica had figured out the game. They renegotiated their record deal, gaining more control over their masters and merchandise rights. This is where the real money started flowing. Concert merchandise became a goldmine, with the band keeping 85 to 90% of profits instead of the usual 50-50 split with venues. Then came the decision that would define their public image for a generation and cost them more than anyone realized: the war against Napster. In 2000, Metallica discovered an unreleased demo of their song I Disappear circulating on Napster. Lars Ulrich became the face of the anti-piracy movement, delivering 335,000 pages of usernames to Napster's headquarters, demanding these users be banned. The legal battle cost Metallica an estimated $8 to $12 million in legal fees alone. But the real cost? Immeasurable damage to their brand among younger fans. They went from being rebels who gave the middle finger to authority to being seen as corporate sellouts going after college kids. Industry insiders estimate Metallica lost between $30 to $50 million in potential revenue from 2000 to 2005 due to boycotts, reduced album sales, and damaged merchandise sales. Music stores reported fans returning Metallica albums in protest. Radio stations reduced airplay. The backlash was brutal and expensive. Here's the irony. Lars was right. Digital piracy was destroying artists' ability to make money from recorded music. But being right doesn't always equal winning. Sometimes it equals losing tens of millions of dollars while watching your legacy take a beating. The settlement they eventually reached with Napster: $0. They fought a multi-million-dollar legal battle for principle, not profit. That's either admirable or financially reckless, depending on your perspective. Speaking of Lars and money, let's talk about one of the most expensive hobbies a rock star can have: fine art collecting. Throughout the 90s, Lars Ulrich built an impressive art collection, valued at over $40 million. He owned works by Jean-Michel Basquiat, purchased for $5 million. He had paintings by Edvard Munch, including pieces valued at $8 to $10 million each. In 2002, Facing what he described as cash flow issues after his divorce, Lars auctioned off a significant portion of his collection through Christie's and Sotheby's. The sales totaled $13.4 million. But here's the financial reality. After auction house fees, taxes, and the original purchase prices, Lars likely netted only $4 to $6 million. He had essentially locked up $25 to $30 million in assets that, when liquidated under pressure, returned a fraction of their value. It's a cautionary tale about illiquid investments. You can own millions in art, but if you need cash fast, you're at the mercy of market timing and buyer interest. The Basquiat piece he bought for $5 million sold for $5.5 million, meaning after fees, he basically broke even after holding it for nearly a decade. Meanwhile, if he'd invested that money in index funds or even kept it in touring infrastructure, the returns would have been substantially better. While Lars was buying and selling art, James Hetfield was fighting demons that would cost the band millions in a different way: lost time and canceled opportunities. In 2001, James entered rehab for alcohol addiction, forcing Metallica to postpone their entire touring schedule. Industry analysts estimated the canceled tour dates cost the band $15 to $20 million in lost revenue. But the real cost went deeper. Studio time for the Saint Anger album ballooned to over $4 million, partly because the recording process became therapy sessions documented in the controversial Some Kind of Monster film. They hired a $40,000 per month performance coach, Phil Tell, to help the band work through their issues. That documentary itself cost over $4 million to produce. While it eventually made back its costs and then some, it required a massive upfront investment during an already expensive period. James's car collection, valued at over $3 million, wasn't cheap to maintain either. Custom hot rods, vintage muscle cars, and the garage space to house them all added up. But compared to the opportunity costs of delayed albums and canceled tours, the cars were pocket change. The band members have since acknowledged that 2001 to 2004 was their most expensive era, not because of extravagant spending, but because they weren't functioning as a money-making unit. When a band of Metallica's size isn't touring or releasing music, they're burning through millions in overhead while generating minimal income. But here's where the story takes a turn. Metallica learned from their mistakes and built something remarkable: complete financial independence. In 2012, they launched their own record label, Blackened Recordings, and purchased the rights to their entire catalog from Warner Brothers. This move cost them an estimated $20 to $30 million up front, but it meant they now owned 100% of their music. To put this in perspective, when a Metallica song plays on Spotify, they keep all the royalties instead of splitting them with a label. When Enter Sandman plays in a commercial, movie, or TV show, they keep the entire licensing fee. This decision has generated over $50 million in additional revenue since 2012. They own their merchandise company, their touring production company, and even their own ticketing operation for certain shows. By cutting out middlemen, they've increased their profit margins on every aspect of their business. Their Metallica.com website generates millions annually through direct-to-fan sales. No record store taking a cut, no distributor fees, just pure profit margins that would make any business executive jealous. The Orion Music Plus More Festival they launched in 2012 and 2013, while not continuing long-term, demonstrated their ability to create and control entire events. They learned that owning the festival meant owning all revenue streams: tickets, sponsorships, merchandise, and even parking. So where does all this leave Metallica financially today? James Hetfield's net worth is estimated at $300 million. Lars Ulrich sits at approximately $350 million. Kirk Hammett is around $200 million. And Robert Trujillo, who joined in 2003, has built a fortune estimated at $30 to $40 million. But these aren't just numbers sitting in bank accounts. They represent decades of smart reinvestment. James owns multiple properties, including a $23 million Vail, Colorado estate. Lars has homes in Marin County worth a combined $20 million plus. Kirk owns one of the world's largest horror memorabilia collections, valued at over $12 million. Their annual touring revenue remains staggering. The worldwide tour from 2016 to 2019 grossed over $250 million. After expenses, each founding member likely took home $15 to $20 million from that tour alone. Streaming has become surprisingly lucrative for catalog artists like Metallica. With over 27 million monthly Spotify listeners, they're generating approximately $8 to $12 million annually, just from streaming royalties. Since they own their masters, they keep the vast majority of that revenue. Their merchandise sales exceed $20 million per year. From t-shirts to limited edition box sets, Metallica has mastered the art of giving fans multiple price points to engage with the brand. The Metallica money story teaches several crucial lessons about wealth in the music industry. First, catalog ownership is everything. Yes, it cost them tens of millions to buy back their masters, but it's paid for itself several times over. Young artists today are learning this lesson, but Metallica figured it out through expensive trial and error. But the real answer is this: they reinvested it into building an empire that's now worth over $1 billion collectively. They made mistakes that cost them tens of millions, learned from those mistakes, and built something that will generate wealth long after they stop touring. The money didn't disappear, it transformed, from record sales to master ownership, from concert tickets to festival empires, from fighting Napster to streaming millions. Metallica took their fortune and turned it into something that will outlive them all. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the financial reality of one of rock's biggest bands, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the business side of music that no one talks about. Drop a comment telling me which band's finances you want me to investigate next. Until next time, remember, in rock and roll, the real revolution isn't just making money, it's keeping it.